live from New York.
It's Saturday night.
Just kidding. We're not live from New York.
That wasn't forced at all. Oh, no, it's you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Sky.
And this is Histories, Mysteries, and Conspiracies, the podcast.
As opposed to the movie.
Yes.
Today, Elizabeth is talking about the mystery of the Sunspot Solar Observatory.
She can't see it because my handwriting is going sideways across the page.
That's exactly where it should be going.
So, all right. Originally, I was going to talk about something like completely different, which I will be talking about in the coming weeks. But then I saw that this hit the news last week, and I really wanted to talk about it. And I texted Sky the link and was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And freaked out.
I conveniently did not read the link because I was like, well, you're going to talk about it anyway. I'm just going to hear it from you.
So this is all new to Sky and old news to me. So the Sunspot Solar Observatory is located in New Mexico. And according to geekwire.com, which is totally legit source, there's other sources as well, but that was like the main one for this. It's 71 years old, and it's at a 9,200 foot elevation observatory on Sacramento Peak in New Mexico. And it's basically this huge telescope designed to study the sun. And I believe it was designed by the United States Air Force, actually, and NASA, something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me. Maybe cut that out. So it's named the Richard B. Dunn Solar Telescope, and it's managed by the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, otherwise known as AURA, which, like, I think is kind of ironic because there's auras in the sky. Anyways.
And auras around us, Elizabeth. How could you forget?
Exactly.
We are made of stardust.
Oh, I wish. But it's managed by AURA under an agreement with the National Science Foundation, and it's super close to Holloman Air Force Base and the White Sands Missile Range. Kind of in the middle of nowhere if you know anything about the geography of New Mexico.
I live there. Did you not know that?
Oh, yeah, I did know that. But, like, you've lived everywhere.
I have. That's fair. That's fair.
So it's, like, in the middle of the desert.
Desert. Yep.
That's about it. And based off of all of these facts, Air Force Base, Missile Range, Solar Observatory, nothing else, it's like the perfect recipe for some like super secret stuff to happen there, which just invites all of these different conspiracy theories and questions about what's actually happening rather than people just touring the observatory to look at the sun through a really cool telescope.
Plus you think about New Mexico, the sky, space stuff, Area 51, Roswell, aliens. It's a chain. It goes like from one thing to another very quickly.
That'll be mentioned later. So on September 6th of 2018, which is like last week as we're recording this, but you never know when people are going to be listening. The observatory's facility and a few of the surrounding homes were forced to evacuate due to an undisclosed security issue. So they just told everyone, get out of here, but we're not telling you why you're getting out of here. And the FBI was called in to investigate, and local law enforcement was really frustrated because they were kept in the dark about everything. They were just told to help enforce the evacuation, and nobody would get them information about anything.
That's
so weird.
Can you imagine being that person? Like, someone comes to your house, how you have to leave? Why?
I can't tell you.
I literally don't even know. Like, they're not even telling me.
That was the thing that I was like, what the heck?
If you didn't trust your government before, you're definitely not going to trust it now.
So, as Sky was saying earlier, New Mexico is like super notorious with alien enthusiasts, mainly because of the Roswell UFO incident, which I'm sure I'll be talking about in more detail in another episode, maybe the next one that I record, because I got really into it when I was researching this. But the main gist of it, for those of you that aren't super familiar with it, is that there was a flying saucer, UFO, something, that crashed in the desert near Roswell, and tons of people have different theories about what actually happened.
It was just a weather balloon.
Yeah. So the official explanation is that it was a weather balloon and crash test dummies that had crashed during experiments to monitor nuclear tests. And about 0% of people actually believe that, so there's a ton of alien theories around it.
That's a real statistic. Please quote Elizabeth. About 0% of people.
I mean, between Sky and I, we are 100% and 0 of us. So 0% actually believe that.
That's right. 0% of the people in this room right now.
And we're definitely reputable sources. So, like, naturally, there's all these other people up in arms about what the heck is going on here with this serious, crazy evacuation. So Aura released a statement, and Aura is that group that manages the observatory, and this is their official statement, quoted, "Tell me what you think about this. Aura has been cooperating with an ongoing law enforcement investigation of criminal activity that occurred at Sacramento Peak. During this time, we became concerned that a suspect in the investigation potentially posed a threat to the safety of local staff and residents. For this reason, Aura temporarily vacated the facility and ceased science activities at this location. The decision to vacate was based on the logistical challenges associated with protecting personnel at such a remote location and the need for expeditious response to the potential threat. Aura determined that moving the small number of on-site staff and residents off the mountain was the most prudent and effective action to ensure their safety." Side note, there's like 9 official people that work at this observatory in the visiting section, but I couldn't find anything that said like how many scientists are actually working there. Continuing on the quote, "In light of recent developments in the investigation, we have determined there is no risk to staff, and Sunspot Solar Observatory is transitioning back to regular operations as of September 17th. Given the significant amount of publicity the temporary closure has generated and the consequent expectation of an unusual number of visitors to the site, we are temporarily engaging a security service while the facility returns to a normal working environment." And that's it. So what we know is there is an investigation and there is a suspect. And that's it.
That's weird. That could be like anything. Which, I mean, is understandable why they'd be vague. But, like, it's weird because the local police hasn't been involved with it. Because it could be like, oh, well, somebody tried to go in and break into the observatory. Or someone tried to go and attack. But I feel like then the police should know.
Yeah, especially if there's a suspect on the loose that they're looking for.
Exactly.
Like, you'd think that the police would know something.
At least, like, here is a picture of the suspect that we're looking for. Or something like that. But I was also thinking, like, maybe this is too conspiracy theory-ish. But what if there was somebody who's working there at the observatory and then they either found something and they're all like, hey, you can't release this to the public. And they're like, no, the public deserves to know. And they're like, And
there's so many...
chaos ensues.
Okay, but there's so many different directions that this could go into. Because, I mean, even if you think like, okay, somebody was planning to attack this thing, local law enforcement would probably know and be involved. Like, I know the FBI gets involved in things before local law enforcement all the time based on what they can see on computers and what they're tracking and all that, and all their intelligence. But even still, you would think that, like, the police officers in the area would need to know things.
Yeah, especially if they're... I don't know. It's weird because they're asking people to leave, but they're also like, yeah, we don't really know why, but...
Yeah, and the investigation is still ongoing, and as of right now, there haven't been any criminal charges filed, and it's a strong possibility that there might never be any based on how FBI investigations go. Sometimes they just, like, deal with things behind closed doors and don't want the public to know. But if any criminal charges are filed, that means that they'll be public record, and someone somewhere out in cyberspace will find it. So I'm going to keep looking up things because it's still ongoing, and I will like try and update as much as I can whenever anything comes out, even if it's like months from now. But yeah, that's basically it. But there's just so many unknowns and so many different directions that it could go into.
That's so crazy. What do you think it is?
I mean, part of me wants to say, like, because I freak myself out if I keep going into all of these different theories, I want to say, like, oh, it's probably a security risk of, like, someone attacking it and they just wanted to, like, shut it down and they can't tell the public or can't tell police because they're afraid someone's going to leak. But then along with that, that would probably go into, like, somebody on the inside knows.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was, like, somebody, one of those 9 employees that's working there is a suspect, something like that.
That's what, like, that's my first thing is it's probably somebody who works there.
Yeah.
Who is either... like has the sensitive information that they want to get out, if we're doing super conspiracy theory, or they attacked somebody from the inside and they're all like, no, this is bad, like, we just want to keep this hush-hush for now.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So there's just a lot of questions. And I mean, the Solar Observatory is a giant telescope that looks at the sun. So, like, maybe, and there's obviously not many telescopes that are safe to look at the sun through.
Actually, you can look at a lot of them. You just have to change the settings on it and the filters.
People are stupid and don't do that sometimes. But, like, this is a big, it's a lot closer to the sun, so you'd be able to see more details of that anyways. So maybe there's something going on up there that they don't want us to know about.
I mean, there's sunspots, solar flares, all this stuff. And they say that, like, a giant solar flare can take out, like, our grid. Yeah. Which if it takes out our grid, we're basically SOL. Like,
which a lot of things, so many different things run on that. Like, some cars wouldn't work. Like, all of your electronics.
Think about hospitals.
Yeah, that would be done.
Yeah. That's always my thing. I'm like, oh my God, the hospitals.
Yeah, because what do you do if the hospital is down?
Yeah.
And you're hurt?
And the emergency systems?
Oh my goodness. Now we're getting into, like, total apocalypse stuff. And Sky is our resident apocalypse preparer, doomsday prepper.
Yes.
There was a storm the other week, and Sky got how many different things to prepare for?
We got a lot of candles, the flashlights, lighters ready. Also packed canned food, a change of clothes, first aid kit. What else was in there? I don't know. I have, like, a bag that just has a bunch of survival stuff in it, like a water filter and a pocket knife and a fire starter.
So if anyone is, like, worried about storms, just talk to Sky. She knows what to do.
We actually just bought a new stuff after that storm. There's, like, you can buy these bags that are, like, pre-set with, like, food and water and first aid kits and all this stuff. And I also bought an additional first aid kit because first aid is good.
There you go.
Yeah. So super stocked now.
I know. I have, like, a ton of first aid things here because of Spencer and all of his, like, first aid things that he has to have with them, but I don't know how to use half of them. So
I can teach you, but for real, I can't.
First aid lesson at Elizabeth's house after this. See you there. All right. So we're going to post, like, pictures on our Instagram of all of the fun things, aka just the pictures of the Solar Observatory.
We'll post a lot of pictures of New Mexico, like dirt.
Yeah.
And
so just, like, the
cactus.
desert. But
I'm trying to remember.
We also post, like, different pictures that we'll discuss during the shows. So if you want to go give us a follow on Instagram, it's HMCT Podcast, and tell your friends, and we'll follow you back so your ratio doesn't get messed up if, like, you're concerned about that.
And if you have any corrections or anything to go over, you can email us at, what's our email?
hmctpodcast@gmail.com. And we're currently working on getting a Twitter up too, and we'll let you guys know when that happens. But if you have any other, like, theories or ideas or know more things than
or updates,
we do.
If you were the person who did the thing,
please let us know. We need to know. Comment on the post, DM us. Those are open, and we'll respond.
And we're going to do real quick some corrections from the last episode. So one thing is we actually record 2 episodes at a time. So corrections will be every other episode.
We're sorry. We suck.
Sorry we're like this. But when I'm going to do corrections from my Povalia episode. So if you remember, I was talking about the island on the Tiber River with the hospital on it. The island is called the Tiber Island. I'm so stupid. Tiberizolia. And I'm so stupid. And it actually doesn't just have a hospital on it. It also has a church.
The 2 important things, God and health.
And the church, hold on, I have to look up the name of the church because I can't remember.
It's probably like the Tiber Church.
It's a Catholic thing. It's a saint. Oh. It's a saint.
Oh, we have lots of those.
It was originally, so the church that's on the island was originally a temple to the god, Aesculapius. I didn't practice this beforehand, but Aesculapius is the Greek god. That's the reason you have the staff and the snake on it.
Oh, for medics and medical and everything.
So that's why there was that.
That's really interesting.
That temple was changed into a church, which is the Basilica of St. Bartholomew.
Yes, you said that right.
Who is he? What does he do?
I believe, oh my gosh.
Quiz time.
There's so many saints in the Catholic Church. Hold on. He was a Franciscan, but he was one of the 12 apostles. There's a ton, and because of that, there's a ton of
just keeps going. This Wikipedia
churches named after him.
He had a flayed skin, which I know is usually relevant to what they're saints of, right? Like how they died.
Yeah. He's the patron saint of bookbinders, butchers, Armenia, Florentine cheese, I like that, salt merchants, leather workers, neurological diseases, plasterers, shoemakers, couriers, tanners, trappers, twitching, and whiteners. I'm guessing there might be more than that, but normally patron saints are patrons of something that was like a big work in their life. If they performed any miracles in a specific thing, they're the patron saints of that. And patron saint just means like, if you're really looking for a good, I'll use this for example, bookbinder, you would pray to Saint Bartholomew to help you find a bookbinder.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Yeah. So there's now a Saint Bartholomew Church on T-Berry Zola now. So there's that. One more thing about Poveglia Island. I mentioned how a lot of the ashes were on the segment 3, but there were also some plague pits on segment 2 as well, which is the segment that had the buildings. So there are plague pits, on 2, but there are also ashes on 3. So it's weird. There's just bodies everywhere. Yep.
Yes, lots of them. All right. I think that's everything.
I think that is everything.
Like us, follow us, rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah.
All of the typical podcast things. Tell us honest reviews. Hit us up in Instagram. And I think that's all. Be your weird self.
Be your weird self. Goodbye.